Arizona has struggled this season in the red zone. The Wildcats went 3 for 4 against Utah in those opportunities in last weekend's game, but Jedd Fisch wants to see better efficiency in that area. It was a big topic Monday when Fisch met with the media ahead of this weekend's matchup against Washington State.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a combination of, first of all, you got to make plays down there. If you have opportunities to make them, you got to make them. Number two, you've got to be able to throw in tight windows and, feel confident that you can, call those plays and then make those throws and make those tough catches. We got to be able to run the ball downhill and get in the end zone when need be. I've always said that the best way to, your best rushing teams are when you have to run it and they know you have to run it and you could still run it. And, that's kind of a big thing right there for us. And we have had 9 penalties in drives in the red zone. So when you start adding up the amount of drives, and if 9 of them had penalties on them, that's real difficult to overcome. And then we have turnovers. We've had a few turnovers down in the red area. But we will start with the red zone the second we can get on the field in the spring. And day one of practice, traditionally you start in the field. We'll start in the red zone. I told the staff that today. And we will have the first 2 days of spring ball fully committed to the red area because we're not going to live with red zone lack of efficiency again next season.
Dana, back to the red zone. Beyond the X's and O's, is there a mindset that should be separate when you get inside the red zone? And do you coach a different kind of mindset in the red zone?
I think you should get, you got to either, see the end zone as your friend or as kryptonite. We can't see it as kryptonite. We've got to embrace it. We've got to get into it. We've got to be, the biggest thing you've got to do when you get in that red zone area is you've got to find ways on 4-point plays, right? It's 3rd down and 6 on the 6. If you don't get it, it's a field goal. If you do get it, it's a touchdown. That's a 4-point swing. And we have to have a mentality, and what I've told our guys is that our 4-point plays moving forward have got to be the most important plays we practice because those are plays that really change outcomes of games. And, we're going to embrace that challenge to get good in the red zone, and I believe we will. I believe we'll have a much better red zone team. I think you just kind of have to get your players right. You got to get your plays right. You got to break some tackles. You got to make some one-on-one plays. And you got to be able to run the football in the red zone. And if you can't run the football in the red zone, you're usually not very good at it. And that's where we're going to really work at this offseason.
Jedd, obviously you've had 2 quarterbacks in both Gunner and Will that have been injured in the same fashion, trying to deflect those stiff-arm defenders in the passing game. I'm just curious what your teaching philosophy is on that, and also was the fact that Will, on the touchdown run in Saturday's game, carried it with his throwing hand. Was that a result of anything?
Well, I certainly have brought up the do not stiff arm. That is not an option for a quarterback with their throwing hand. That is not something you do. We cannot. I have not made an emphasis to carry the ball with your throwing arm because of the fact that I don't want to carry it with your inside arm if you don't have to. But we tried to, and we've really spent a big amount of time with Will this past week emphasizing scrambling and scrambling smart are 2 different things. And what he's been able to do is he's been able to scramble, but now we're trying to take it to that next spot of scrambling smart and avoiding a hit. And you don't need to stiff arm, a guy unless it's 4th down and the game's on the line. But other than that, let's protect your throwing hand, let's protect your throwing shoulder, and let's let the hits go on the left side of the body.
So obviously, you're never going to be perfect with the football, but what did you think of Will's decision-making as far as the throws he decided to make, and how has he progressed in that area over the last few games?
Yeah, we talk about 3 things with the quarterbacks. We say it's DTA, decision-making, timing, and accuracy. Those are the 3. That's the acronym we kind of use when it comes to good quarterback play. Thought his decision-making this week was by far the best. You miss a throw high, you miss a throw, you could get it out of your hands quicker, the receiver slips on a route, and then you have to hold it longer, and those type things. But what he didn't do was he never got sloppy with the ball. Now, he's gone 2 games out of the last 3 without an interception, which is a big point of emphasis. That's emphasis 1 in the offseason is the turnovers and taking the ball away. Both of those. Emphasis 2 will be the red zone. But, in that case, I do believe he played the smartest game he's played all year. We had some audibles. He got us into the right play. The 2-minute drive he'd like to take back. I mean, obviously you can't take sacks in the 2 minutes. So it's that fine line of not pressing to prep, but when you're down 9 with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left, you got to throw the ball.
Brian, before the Washington game, you said having 1 fewer day wasn't that big a deal, but how is it different with having the travel day and all that? What do you have to condense and take out?
Yeah, you do lose a little bit of time because you're flying up to Pullman on a Thursday at about 3 o'clock. Now, what we're able to do is we just move everything up in the morning. So stuff that we normally would do in that 2 to 6 block, we'll just do it I think we'll go 9 to 1 on Thursday morning and then get on the plane. So the players are allowed to, be in football on Thursday when you're traveling. It's a travel day. So, it's a little bit tougher when you're traveling versus when you're at home. But our team has embraced some toughness all season long and embraced some adversity. So we're excited about, making it hard.
I'm sorry, it's a short week, so if you could move ahead and help us preview Washington State offensively and defensively.
I think we'll have one more. Do we have one more? We don't have one more press conference. Okay. So I don't know too much right now on their offense in terms of their personnel. I've spent the last 24 hours looking at our team and their defense. But I'll tell you this, that, what they are a team that's going to throw the football all over the yard. They're going to play with 5 wide receivers and 4 wide receivers at a time. Very rarely will they ever have 2 backs in the game or a tight end and a back. They're going to challenge you both vertically and horizontally throughout the entire game on offense. They're going to go fast. They're going to make you defend it. They kind of are a mix between what was air raid with Coach Leach and then what was run and shoot with Coach Rolovich. They're kind of right in that combination of offense. Defensively, they play a pretty significant amount of coverages. You could see them playing almost all the varieties. You can see cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. You've got guys that are fast. They've got good pass rushers. And, their corners are pretty big, pretty aggressive. And, not many teams have been able to win a ton of one-on-one battles. So that'll be a great challenge for us. But excited about that opportunity to go against them and know that there's a lot of speed on the field with Washington State.
Michael.
Is the challenge this week for this upcoming game as much mental as it is physical? Given that you've got ASU coming up, you've got weather, you've got a short week.
Yeah, well, I told the guys, right, like, if it rains, it rains, right? What are we going to do about that? So we got to just deal with that, right? So we're just going to play ball, whatever the weather looks like. If it's cold, it's cold. Well, really for us is each week we've done everything we can to be better than we were the week before. I mean, that has been our message, our goal every single week. I don't imagine that ever changing for forever, really. We're going to make a goal of that every single week. We try to play 12 one-game seasons. So we'll deal with Washington State up until Friday night at midnight or 11 o'clock, and then we'll focus in on the next week. But I don't imagine it to be an issue.
Time for a couple more. Go, Greg.
You ever been part of an epically cold game?
Yeah, I've been a part of a freezing game in Baltimore versus Green Bay in 2007 on Monday Night Football. That was cold. I don't know the exact number of it. Minnesota versus Penn State. We had a blizzard going. That was cold. That was when I was the offensive coordinator in Minnesota in November of 2009. So there's been a couple of them. Fortunately, it does not look like this is one of those. This looks like this will just be a pretty decent night.
What is the difference between Dorian Singer of the early season and Dorian Singer now?
Knowledge. An enormous amount of knowledge that he's gained from coming here really late in the game. He was a summer enrollee after we got done with all aspects of ball. And then he had to embrace it. He had to understand where he was on the depth chart. He had to earn his way up every week. That's why we do those basic periods 3 days a week where we have our young guys go against our young guys. And he kept getting better in those. He was a dominant performer, him and Majan. But he was still eligible to be able to play this season. So Dorian became more and more dominant. And then when he got to the point that how can we not play him, then he had to start showing us that he knew what he had to do on every play. And not every play he gets right, but enough of them he gets right that he's worth playing.
I will finish up with Michael.
2 questions. One, runners other than Will Plummer had only 20 carries against Utah. Was that just a kind of a product of game flow, the way they were defending you?
Yeah, I think it was. It was a combination of what we felt we could get out of the passing game. We felt like there was some good windows to be able to hit some balls. There was some. We only ran 60 plays. It was our least amount of plays that we had all year. Really based upon, I think, the time of possession, because it was our best third down day and we didn't turn the ball over. It just happened to be the way the game flow went. You get a block punt, you don't get an offensive possession. There's just some things that happen in the game. So we didn't. We threw it more than we probably thought we would going into the game. I thought we were pretty confident passing the football. And then, unfortunately, we only got, I think, 13 carries with the other guys, whatever it might have been. So we need to get more carries for sure moving forward.
And the other thing is you used all your timeouts in the first half pretty quickly. Philosophically, is that just, hey, I would rather use the timeout and get the play right than rush or have a penalty or something?
Yeah, in the first half, I believe that way. Not in the second half. Very disappointed that we didn't have timeouts at the end of the game. That was not what we're looking for in the second half. We did not. We had to use it for the 2-point play because we only had 9 guys in the huddle because we're celebrating a punt block, so we're on the other side of the field thinking it's an extra point. Then we had an injury on one, so that's one guy, and then the other guy, we lost Tavion 2 plays before, so they didn't know Tavion was down, so we had to use that timeout there. So then but I would say, to answer your question on the first half, yeah, I don't want to waste a play. Formation was wrong. I look out there on one, we called the wrong formation, so it would have been a dead play. Another time I looked out there, the clock was running down, would have been a delay game in the red area, wasn't going to do that. And then the third time, it looked like we had the wrong personnel group on the field. I called the wrong wristband number, so that was my fault. So I had to use the timeout there when we were down in the red area.